As you guys can see, I am up at midnight releasing a prophetic word, okay? If no one clicks in, it's completely fine. I am going to wait a few minutes just to see if some people come in, but God says transition point, okay? And I'm so excited to release this um, because it just confirms what God spoke to me back in April about us entering a season of recompense, retribution, and judgment. All of those things that He had me talk about back in March of this year when I came out. Like, He's going to be judging leaders, He's going to be separating the sheep from the goats. Now, when God gave me that, I felt like God was saying, okay, the timeline was June, but I believe I got the timeline wrong, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that, all right? So, y'all, I prayed before this, and it's like as soon as I click the button, I just feel the Holy Spirit like just up here. I just have so much to share with you guys. Well, I ain't got that much, but God says transition point. Really, God said transition, but when I was looking at my notes, I just this transition point, like, it stuck out to me. So, oh God, Lord, if y'all are like me, things have been really hard, but God has sustained. I've had joy, I have strength throughout. And I just want to say that for God to say this word transition and to download this word into my spirit, it really means so much to me, okay? And I just pray it does the same for you. So I'm going to start. So today, first it started on, y'all, this is my prayer journal. So first it started on the 18th when I prayed around 5:30. All I heard the Lord say was the word transition. God started talking to me about something else, so I didn't go into it. Today, 8:20, when I pray at 8:34 p.m., y'all, I'm super precise, okay? Because look, at some point in the future, who knows? It might make sense. These are the utterances that the Lord was showing me. So before, it was like the word was just impressed upon my spirit. But with this, when I was going into prayer, I was seeing phrases just flashing across my vision, okay? So I saw the word transition again. I'm like, okay, God, you spoke about this the other day. And then God said, a seed was planted. Comfort, secret place. And then God said, it's on the horizon, fulfillment. Okay, I'm gonna make sense of all this stuff. So when God said it's on the horizon fulfillment, I instantly was taken to like this image of a horizon, you know? But I said, God, that it was like the reddish orange color. I said, God, that doesn't look like a sunrise, but more so a sunset. Okay. But God said, yes, sunset, because a sunset correlates to the beginning of a new day. If you guys know in the Bible, the new day does not start like how we start ours in the morning, it starts at night. So the next phrase God spoke to me was, the dawn of a new day is a transition point. Okay. So what God is going to do with this transition is going to happen overnight. All right. So let me go back to the points. So when God was saying a seed was planted, comfort, secret place. So you plant not just a seed, but you planted many seeds. Okay. And God has been speaking to me about harvest. Harvest is here. Harvest is here. God said you're receiving payment. You're receiving payment. And it's not a little bitty harvest. It is a huge harvest. Okay. We talking about, I think I mentioned that in the video where I said, get your baskets ready. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that. But when God spoke to me about comfort, secret place, because you made the secret place your comfort. You abided in the Lord. Sorry, y'all, my little thing be moving. Hold on. Let me see if I can put something in front of it so it stop it from moving. Okay, bit. All right. So God was saying that you made the secret place your place of comfort. And so God said it's on the horizon, fulfillment. So fulfillment, I got the rainbow going on, completion of this promise, the manifestation of you finally seeing what God has been promising you consistently. It's on the horizon. All right, now let's continue. So let's speak about the transition. So God started speaking to me about the transition point. So the first thing was I just started writing down. I said, okay, God, transition. During the transition, you have to trust God more. And it's not a physical move, but it's a spiritual move. Now, for some people, it could be a physical move. But what God was placing in my spirit is that this is a spiritual move. Remember back in June, God had me release that Sunray Speak series talking about going higher. And I've been talking about hinds feet. I had a dream about a month ago where there was a girl, I think it was an angel. Like, it just looked so weird. She was standing in front of me at a store, but she was so tall. But I looked down and she had hinds feet. And I was looking at her, I was with a friend. I said, yo, you see her feet? Like, what's going on here? And when I woke up, the Lord said, this is what I'm doing for you and for my people. I'm giving you hinds feet so that you can tread on higher places. Because if you don't have hinds feet, God gonna take you to higher heights and you'll just fall. If you guys read the prophetic devotional that I released a few days ago called Hinds Feet, it'll make more sense, okay? But so God was saying, I'm transitioning my people to a higher place. Remember, I was talking about the stretching, all of this stuff back in June, okay? Just make sure y'all go look at that stuff. And so for more detail, because I don't want to waste time here. All right, so God started saying to me, okay, so what does transition mean? He said the process of changing from one state or condition to another, okay? So there are important things concerning transition. Like I said, you have to trust God more. You must increase your faith. It comes with great uncertainty and discomfort. You're going from one place to the next, okay? Hinds feet. And also, I want to say in July, I had a dream where I was at the Jordan River. And I knew it was the Jordan River because I just knew it was the Jordan River. And in it, there were purple flowers, like these beautiful purple flowers around it. And all I remember is crossing over the river, right? But I had looked down at my phone. At the very moment I looked down at my phone, the time was 11:11. Okay, so at that time, and I didn't share none of this stuff because I didn't know whether I should, but I've been pushed with fire tonight. That's why I'm on here late to just share it. Okay, so God was saying at that time, like, you've crossed over in the spirit. Things are gonna start catching up in the physical. Okay, this is all gonna make sense. All right, so another thing that's important concerning transition is you need encouragement and empowerment from God. So because the transition is a time of great testing. It's when God is knocking at the doors of your hearts to develop a deeper intimacy with you, because he wants to prepare you for the new. You can only be prepared for the new by sitting in God's presence, okay? You can only understand what it is that God is about to do in your life when you abide in him, when you make the secret place your place of comfort, okay? So last week, I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but God was speaking to me every single day. God speaks every day, but I'm talking about like speaking, okay? Remember, I shared on the 7th of August, on the 4th of August, I said in 7 days God will speak. Well, on the 11th, God spoke to me on the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th, okay? This is all going to make sense. Just pay attention. 3 days in a row, in the morning at the exact same time, God spoke to me. Like, I couldn't miss it. All right. So, one of those days, actually, I'll just explain it. So the first thing is that one of those days, God showed me where we were going from praying for something. Like, it was like a period of praying for something, and then going from praying for something to actually walking in it. And the transition between was so fast. It was like, you just prayed for it. That's just a little bit of weight. Boom. It was just like, shoot. And then it was so many tears falling down because of oh my Lord, like, I'm here. Like, it happened so fast. Okay. So what the Lord said to me is transition point. Though the space in between the transition can seem to take forever, okay? Because we go from you go from praying for a thing to waiting for that thing to come to pass to walking in it, okay? That's what we're talking about. So though the space in between, the transition can seem to take forever, when you reach the other side, the transition becomes a blur. Like the vision was. Okay, so it's like you go from praying and fasting from something, and you might have waited a long time, but all of a sudden you're shifted into that new thing, and now you're sitting there looking like, oh my Lord, like what? You're not even thinking about the trial you just went through. You're not even thinking about that. It reminds me of giving birth, right? Women be pregnant for 9 months. They be tired of being pregnant. They like, can you pull the baby out of me? Can you just do something, And when they give birth to that child, all of a sudden, and it was just 11:11 on Alive, but when you give birth to that child, all of a sudden, all the worry and doubt goes away, right? Okay. So I just want to say to you guys, be encouraged. You're transitioning. So let me tell you what the whole 3-day thing was. On the 11th, the Lord was congratulating. Angels were congratulating and celebrating people in the spirit. Something was happening, okay? On the 12th, at an airport, okay? We know airport is a place of transition. On the 13th, from praying in it to walking in it. So once on those 3 days, 1, 2, 3, God spoke very clearly about transitioning, okay? And so God had told me, remember I told you suddenly, unexpected, you're going to go from praying for something to walking in it. So I was like, okay, God, why after the 13th did you go silent? Like you weren't talking to me at that time. Like I was still in your word. I still felt your presence. You were still speaking through scripture, but the way in which you spoke to me, why weren't you still speaking? Now, I don't know if you guys know, I watched the live from the other day. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on. Okay. So, I don't know if y'all were watching the live from the other day, but I mentioned how God had me watch Prophet Lovey's sermon. It was titled God's Silence. And I was like, God, why you want me to watch this? In it, I'm going to read the notes. That's why I really brought this here. So in the notes, he said, this is the important part. When you're so close to breakthrough and you're about to cross over into your place of blessing, God is no longer ahead of you. So as God is leading you and directing you to a place, he's in front of you and he's like clearing things out of the way, right? But when you get to the place that God had ordained for you, he's no longer ahead of you because the enemy can't enter into what God has ordained for you. And that was confirmed because the Lord told me earlier, he's refreshing and reviving, pretty much comforting his people. And this is what happens after you complete a process. It causes someone to recover a state of cheer or encouragement after a time of anxiety and trouble. If you guys remember the prophetic release that God had me release called Let It Rain, the 3 R's, recompense, restoration, and whatever the other R was, that God had me do back then, God said he is going to make the enemy flee for a season from his people so that they can rest. Okay, so this is all going together. But what he was saying is that when you enter into what God ordains, Satan can't enter into that because it's what God ordains. Nobody can stop this transition. Like, nobody can stop once you cross over. Satan can try and attack you as you're transitioning, which is why now things just seem so like, oh my gosh. But it's because he wants to stop you and he wants to redirect you, okay? So that is when God goes behind you. And God gets silent so that he can destroy your enemies. God is working in the background for you, and everything is working for your good. God only requires that you don't go silent at the point of a transition. You must pray, and this prayer must be a dedicated time that you set aside with God. So pretty much what he was saying is that like for me, I experienced all of this, and it all came together today. I said, God, why did you just go silent like that? But what God was saying to me was, I told you 3 days in a row how fast things are going to happen. I told you what's going to happen, one thing after the next. So when you see that moment in your life that the angels are congratulating you, now you know what's next is the actual shift into transition, and you're about to cross over, right? And then you see it was boom, 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 on one thing on the hill of another. Amos 9:13-15. I posted that in my Instagram maybe like a week ago. But it was just like, because in the dream, like I said, God, well, I won't call it a dream. It was a night vision. And in the night vision, really it was a morning vision, but night vision, God had showed me, and I feel the Holy Spirit just like hovering over me right now. God has showed me like where a person literally went from praying from something to crying and walking in it. It was so fast. The shift, the transition point was a blur. Okay. So essentially, what am I saying? God, we're all in a transition point. Okay. Because at the end of the day, what we're walking into is going to be a result of what we've sown. So if we have not righteously sown seeds, or if we've been wicked, we shall reap that judgment. You know, God said measuring line to me today. A leveling instrument, right? And the leveling instrument is like in the Bible, it was always used as a measure for God to judge people. It wasn't really used for what it was supposed to be used for. So pretty much what God is saying is that he's going to be passing judgment on people. And there are some people that may think that they're going to receive something, but God is like, you're going to get judgment instead. You're not going to get a reward. You're not going to get recompense. So it's kind of like a two-sided thing, but I'm trying to stay on the aspect of what I know. A lot of people, and even myself, are walking into where we've been faithful stewards, even if not stewards in every single area, but we've been faithful and we've been trusting God, so that we are transitioning. So you experiencing all of these tears and this excitement and these things of that sort, it's like no coincidence. Okay. I'm praying that this makes sense to y'all. So this is what the Lord was showing me for the people. So be encouraged.